Yeah, so welcome to MindShifters Radio. And today is Tuesday, March the 17th, 2026. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And how is Melissa? How's Terry?
Hey, you guys, welcome. Anything exciting happening?
Yes. Hey, how you doing, folks?
Good.
We're rocking.
Michaela, Sky, and Cedar rolled in last night. They're going to be staying with me for 10 days. I'm
Awesome.
super excited about that. They're going to help me take care of some things that I need help with. I'm really excited about that. And it's so far so good. Sun's shiny and cool weather's here. Maybe this is the last round. And Michael, you and I have been working a little bit on this next piece for me. And Jeannie's rolling out her book. It's just good stuff going on everywhere.
Lots is moving for sure, Terry. And I'm delighted to hear that you're ready to start teaching. Why is this happening to me again? And we'll look forward to the conversation and how we can support you in putting that together and putting it out there, whether it's in the brick and mortar world or the Zoom world, or wherever it chooses to happen. And looking forward to how everything seems to be coming to the next quantum level. Janie's book is out. Mm-hmm. She's working on her workbook. I'm getting closer and closer on It's All Greek to Me, which I think is going to be what should I say? To some, it's going to be a theological bombshell. To others, it's going to be a boon. So it's going to be interesting to see how that lands when it comes together. It feels like I'm really getting a handle on gently transitioning from the insanity of the fear-based Greek mind into the breath and love-based Aramaic mind, and being able to say it in a way that helps people to build the brain cells of really comprehending. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening for sure.
Miss Susan B., are you feeling any better?
Well, I don't have a fever anymore.
Well, that's good.
Thanks for asking. It's quite a bug.
Yeah.
Lots of lemon and cayenne pepper.
I've been doing the lemon. I thought maybe cayenne would bother my vocal cords. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all this. This isn't what this show is about. I'll try.
Yeah, it's about supporting us, everybody. But the cayenne pepper helps to break up the mucus deposits, and that's a really important piece of the.
All right, I will
getting rid of that. So we'll hold the space.
Yeah, thanks.
I can kind of attest to that cayenne pepper. I've been a user of that whole master cleanse for quite a while, and really I thought that it would aggravate or cause pain or what have you, but it generally had the opposite effect. When I used it, that it was able to, initially it hit my throat, and then it was a little discomfort, and then it settled it right down. So I hope you get to feeling better real soon.
You, Terry?
Melissa, you got your hand up?
Welcome.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I don't use Kindle, but I bought Jeannie's book for my sister, and she's not quite done reading it yet, but she just absolutely loves it, and she's convinced that you wrote it for our family.
Oh.
and she thinks that our whole family should be reading it, and it would help them immensely. And this is actually my sister. I hope the rest of my family doesn't hear this, but this is actually the normal sister in my family. So, and she thinks it's going to help her so much. And she just loves the book, and I just wanted to pass that on to you. And she just thinks it's great, and I think it's wonderful too. I mean, I was everything you talked about last week. I just listened and got so much out of, And like I said, she's the normal one in the family, and she's already getting so much out of it.
That's awesome.
But
Thanks
You know,
for
they're
anyway, I
only
just want to
about
let you know that. I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear what you said.
I was just offering that I suspect there are only about 7.5 or so billion minds on the planet that need what Jeanie wrote. So we'll see the ones that are ready for it, getting a hold of it, and the growing intensity of the shift being an energy that serves the whole of humanity. It's an awesome piece of work, Jeanie.
Thank you.
Oh, it certainly is, and I know I've been telling the world about it, and I think anybody who gives it a chance and reads it will just get so much out of it. I mean, it's so well put together, and just really, I mean, you can hear a lot of people tell stories and say stuff, and it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. Just the way you put it together. You put it together in such a way that it just is gonna. It grabs a hold of you and just rings true and just makes you feel it and makes you, anyway, it just really talks to you. It did me and it did my sister, and it will so many people. I know that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to let you know that and say thank you again.
I appreciate
as always.
it. Okay. Well, where we left off yesterday is in the last section of chapters, and we're in the chapter called Be Aware. And the fourth item I listed, to become aware of the fact that reacting to my past has robbed me of energy and time. It is critical that I learn to be present in my body. To do this, I must let go of the past traumatic, physical, mental, and emotional experiences that took a toll on me. I understand that the body is not meant to be a repository for pain. It is meant to be a storehouse of love. I once heard someone say that if we put as much energy into thriving as we did surviving, we would flourish. Our lives would be fun and abundantly full. To survive is simply to exist, whereas to thrive is to grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Despite having healed in many ways, I still sometimes find myself attempting to control my life and space as if I'm in danger. For instance, I might overwork to straighten up some outside clutter, only to find that the demons are not only at work on the inside, but I have locked myself in the box with them. And because this internal chaos can be intense, the external scene can get out of whack too, as people around me might resist control. At this point, we have created a vicious cycle of push and pull. My task is to become aware of where my energy is being spent by asking myself, where do I want to be? How do I change directions? Is what I am thinking or doing helping me to thrive? Or am I back to spinning my wheels in survival mode? The fifth thing, to become aware of who I really am and believe it to be true. I have discovered the following to be true, and though these are now fully in my mind, I still work on incorporating them into my entire being. My identity is not dictated by or dependent on others. My safety and security are not provided by another. I trust myself, refusing to give the responsibility of my feeling safe and worthy to someone else. I realize I am important. I trust that I am secure when I am alone. Rather than withholding part of myself to avoid being hurt again, I am now cautiously aware of and open to positive possibilities. I am independent. I am stronger than I think. I disconnect the links between sexuality, fear, and pain and reconnect my sexuality to joy. I relinquish my need to be needed and accept that I deserve to be honored and cherished. My essence, my being love, is intact and will no longer be subjected to abuse, just as the sun is always shining, even though hidden by clouds. My challenge, now that I know intellectually who I am, will I practice knowing these truths in my heart? My answer is that I will do what the old self-help world says. Fake it until you make it. Number 6, to become aware of the truth and have willingness to do what it takes to heal. Having reached step 5 above, I am now ready to heal. I want to give myself permission to remember without fear and hate. I can take one small step at a time and count it as success without needing to complete the whole marathon at once. Willingness will include accepting that when I change what I once considered permanent in my life, relationships may also shift. Real friends will be supportive and not resent that I am no longer controllable. They will be there through the rocky times that may come with change. On the other hand, if there are those who will want to reject the new me, I will remind myself that this is their problem. I will stay close to truth and honor myself even as I continue to honor them, moving forward rather than falling back into my people-pleaser position. Even if it feels like a loss, I must remind myself there is nothing to lose. Willingness also means accepting responsibility for my part in my struggles. My life is my creation. This does not mean it is my fault that others behaved in harmful ways in the past, but I acknowledge my part in drawing them into my space. I choose to see these people as my teachers now, reflecting back to me what I want to face and heal. I will embrace whatever pain arrives during this time as a precursor to healing, as suppressing and denying it will not make it go away. Rumi described the path we are on together as a guest house, welcoming all who come, because each visitor, even the difficult ones, carries a lesson for our good. The Guest House by Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Up until this point, and though I have mentioned tools that have helped me find my way to health, I have not yet presented them to you, my readers. One reason is I felt my forgiveness work should remain private. However, now that I'm writing this account of my life, I find myself ready to disclose details about which I would otherwise never have written. What made me ready? I came to realize that we all have things in our lives that might be considered unacceptable to mention. We might have secrets and dark places that might even be considered scandalous. And yet healing can only occur when these very things are brought to light. Once I met Dr. Michael Ryce, I began using his tools, and these will be presented later in this book. At the same time, and at Dr. Ryce's suggestion, I invited God and the Holy Spirit, Ruka, to become my constant inner companions. It is God who allowed me to trust and who gave me the courage to use these tools. While the tools provide the intellectual scaffolding within which we may work, God's still small voice perfectly suits our needs and temperaments. God will gentle our path. The Holy Spirit, in Aramaic called Ruka, is greater than I am and is the one actually doing the greatest work in my change. I ask for Ruka's assistance and let go of my goals and my need to control, which is hard because control is linked to survival. And I'm learning to listen to the still small voice more and more. Eventually, we will all see the results of my work and the work of the one within me. I'll pause there before we go. The next chapter is actually the forgiveness worksheets. So I'll see if anybody has anything they want to add or ask or comment. Okay, we go on. Chapter 11. Breathe, forgive, let go, and cancel. Refer to chapter 2. Who was I? Who did I think I was? Most of us understand that when we forgive someone, we acknowledge that they have done something wrong. We choose to rise above the insult of what they have done by letting them off the hook. In our work, we make a distinction between the letting them off the hook kind of forgiveness, which we will call pardoning, and the kind of forgiveness that Yeshua, Jesus, taught and practiced. This concept of forgiveness, which we call Aramaic forgiveness, is explained below. In Aramaic, Yeshua's native tongue, true forgiveness involves our deliberate act of going inside ourselves and releasing whatever energies conflict with or are inconsistent with our true being, which is love. Some of these disintegrative energies include anger, pain, fear, sadness, shame, and guilt. Notice that we rarely experience these toxic states unless someone or something outside of us fails to fulfill a goal we are holding for them. The distance between how I want something to be, my goal, and how I perceive it to be determines the level of stress I might experience. If there is a little difference between what I want and what I can get or achieve, stress is minimal. If there's a wide gap, the stress will be greater. The only way to relieve stress is either to achieve the goal or to cancel it. To truly forgive, we identify the goal in a specific situation and then cancel it. In the chapter, Who Was I? Who Did I Think I Was? I explored the many false beliefs that once defined me, distortions that kept me trapped in fear, guilt, and pain. In the following section, I bring each of those false beliefs to the surface using the wake-up sheet process. Whenever I am upset, I have set a goal, and each time I cancel the goal, I release the distortion and return to love. These are not just words. They are steps in healing. One by one, distortions, which are a kind of a lie, fall away so that the truth of who I really am can shine. Follow me through this step-by-step journey of forgiveness. There are many different wake-up sheets, worksheets, and other tools available as free downloads at whyagain.org or through the free app Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. I will use the new wake-up sheet I revised for this book. I particularly resonate with this format because of step 3, where one identifies a specific goal for the object of attention and then adds "so that I can" as an extension of that goal. I believe this "so that I can" phrase reveals the underlying purpose of the goal, which could be called a goal beyond the perceived goal. For example, I want them to honor me and respect me so that I can feel whole and secure. Yes, it is important to work through the feelings of not being honored and respected, but even deeper is the desire to feel whole and secure, to be safe. First, I give an explanation of the process step by step. Step 1, A through F, names the object of attention, the significant influence or trigger, which can even be my own carbon-based memory self. It describes the event, my reality as I perceive it, my feelings, my thoughts, and my impulse, which is the punishment directed toward the object of attention. Step 2 states my commitment to love truth and to willingly move through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. In holistic medicine, it is believed that the process of getting well from an illness involves detoxing, during which the symptoms we exhibited when we were sick might reappear as we are getting well. In fact, it's often noted we might feel as sick or sicker while we're getting well as we felt when we were sick. Some call this phenomenon a healing crisis, and we are encouraged to keep our focus on this healing rather than becoming alarmed by the symptoms. Step 3 is where I identify the specific goal or goals I wanted from the object of attention, including the "so that I can" goal that follows the original goal. Step 4 is where I connect to my original being love instead of to the upset. Staying connected to source takes priority because disconnecting from source can return us once again to ill health. Step 5, A and B, is where I let go of, cancel goals, breathe, and ask for the support of Ruka. One translation for breath is the Holy Spirit. It is the breath, or Holy Spirit, who can undo what I cannot on my own, especially when it is a generational issue. Step 6, I call present awareness, where I identify whatever feelings arose after completing step 5. There's no right or wrong answer here. After I have noted my feelings, I ask myself when I have violated the very goal I had set for someone else. An honest inquiry here usually creates the space for compassion. Step 7 is where I establish a new, loving, enlightened goal in relation to the object of attention, rather than the goal I had expected them to fulfill. For example, I will hold the space for both of us to heal in this situation. Then a note on the carbon-based memory self as the object of attention. Throughout these wake-up sheets, I sometimes refer to the CBM self as the object of attention. CBM stands for carbon-based memory, our accumulated, inherited, multi-generational database of thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, and survival patterns. This CBM self is what I call the false self, or ego, whom Dr. Ryce has playfully assigned the acronym Edging God Out. It is a part of us shaped by past pain, trauma, culture, family dynamics, and the unconscious stories we carry. The carbon-based memory self is not the true self. Consider the false self as a neighbor Yeshua spoke of, the one living right beside the core of our being. It is the familiar companion whose perceptions, fears, hostilities, and distortions we often mistake for our true self. When that neighbor holds energies that are less than love, then that neighbor becomes not the object of our dismay or fear or ire, but the object of our forgiveness work. We do the work for that neighbor, not against them. Our true self is love, whole, pure, permanent, and untouched by anything that has ever happened to us. The true self cannot be damaged or dismissed or diminished. It is our essence, our being, our direct connection to the Creator. Despite our knowing that our true self is love, the CBM self often runs the show, generating perceptions and reactions rooted in unresolved fear, hostility, judgment, or old generational wounds. The Aramaic forgiveness wake-up sheets help expose and dismantle those unconscious patterns so that our CBM's distortions no longer serve as a source of perceptions, emotions, or behavior. This is what Yeshua meant when he said that in order for you, that is truly you, to live, the false you, the carbon-based memory self, that the world has programmed into us and taught us we are, must die. Yeshua is not talking about our literal death, but the disintegration of false perceptions, generational patterns, and the emotionally driven hallucinations that obscure the truth of who we are. When we face one issue, we will very likely uncover deeper issues that need healing. Dr. Ryce calls this phenomenon the Hydra effect. Just as the mythical Hydra grows another head, or several heads, when one is cut off, we suddenly find ourselves having to deal with many issues. This multiplication, while ultimately beneficial, may appear to be inviting us into endless process. I illustrate the Hydra effect in the following wake-up sheets. At the end of each wake-up sheet, I include a section called Afterthoughts. These will be self-explanatory. Forgiveness is the tool that dissolves the false and restores awareness of the true. In step 4 is a reference to the rose and butterfly story. Imagine we have a rose and a butterfly, and we give them each an ego, and they meet and fall in love and have a wonderful time together. Then one day the butterfly flies away. Because the rose thinks there's nothing more important than the love of the butterfly, it uproots itself to give chase. What's going to happen to the rose? It dies. Why does it die? Because it made something else more important than staying connected to its source. Anytime we make something else more important than staying connected to our source, our being, love, then we have disconnected and initiate our own death. Behind several steps, there is a note, breathe. These are points in the process where you might find you're holding your breath. So at these points, take a breath. This particular wake-up sheet on the next 2 pages can be downloaded at healingthewholewoman.whyagain.org wake-up sheet. And then there's a sample of the blank wake-up sheet. So here we go. I give a brief description within each wake-up sheet just to spare you from having to return to the chapter, Who Was I? Who Did I Think I Was? To refresh your memory. Wake-up sheet 1. Who did I think I was? Nobody. Early in my life, I came to believe I did not matter. I felt unseen and unimportant. This sheet deals with a familiar goal, which is that I be noticed and approved of. When canceled, the forgiveness process will return me to the truth that I am already whole, seen, and cherished by my Creator. Once I am conscious of my wholeness, I am well enough to make healthy choices for my life. 1A. And I abbreviated these somewhat from here. I explained them previously, but since I'm doing 15 worksheets, just to save space in the book. I, Jeanie, am love. 1B. Significant other who shaped this experience. My parents. In the physical wake-up sheets, I also place my initials JS after naming the object of attention. This affirms that my perceptions, my mind's constructs, are always informing me about me and never about the person or event outside myself. Also, my initials affirm that my perceptions are mine and point to the perceptions I vow to clean up. For the purpose of brevity, I will omit this step in all the following wake-up sheets presented in this book. However, I always acknowledge this issue is about me in each wake-up sheet. 1C, my reality as I perceived it. I failed to gain my parents' approval and came to believe I did not matter to them, so I settled for wanting to make them feel they needed me. 1D, my feelings, insecure and unloved. My thoughts, in 1E, when my assistance is not desired or needed, I perceive I have no value. 1F, my impulse, I want to punish by running away, leaving. Number 2, I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. Number 3, my goal, to have my parents be proud of me and to cherish me so that I can feel I am important and that my life has meaning. 4, I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. 5A, I cancel my goal for my parents to be proud of me and to cherish me. I also cancel my goal to feel I am important and that my life has meaning. 5B, by engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the associated projected parts of myself. Breathe. And number 6, present awareness. I now feel sad. I see that the situations in which I believed my parents did not approve of me or did not cherish me or be proud of me were false conclusions. I realized not only that my parents did support and care for me, but that I had failed to gain my own approval of myself. When did I violate that goal? I was the one who never saw the good in myself and set expectations for myself too high. Number 7, to my parents. I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love and open the space for us to grow closer and share our lives more openly. And then in brackets, I put a note. Even though my parents had both passed by the time I did this wake-up sheet, I began to experience a closer connection with them. Closing affirmation. I am somebody created by God's breath of life, and I am love. Then the afterthoughts. From 1B, I can create a separate wake-up sheet focused on conclusions about self, teachers, siblings, bosses, peers, boyfriends, husbands, where this issue was a factor. From 1C, in truth, I failed to gain my own approval of myself. Another wake-up sheet might be done on this issue. From 1D, My feelings, lost, insecure, lonely, hurt, unloved, sad, each of these emotions are best handled by a separate wake-up sheet. From 1E, commitment to do wake-up sheets on, am I only what I do? I perceive that I have no value. I am nobody important. So those will be more wake-up sheets. From 1F, instead of leaving, I choose to let pure love into these places in my mind so that my erroneous content can be cleared. From number 3, my real goal is for me to win my parents' approval. I now recognize that approval has a different meaning than them being proud of me or cherishing me. So I cancel my goal for others to acknowledge my importance and validate me. From 6, more wake-up sheets are needed on distrust and on my belief that my parents disapproved of me. At this point, I intend to use a tool called a MindShifter, which is explained in the chapter on healing tools, page 79. I commit to doing wake-up sheets on fabricating unrelated realities and then using those fabrications to justify faulty perceptions and on learning to tell myself the truth. I will do wake-up sheets on perfectionism, on the habit of pushing myself to achieve to the point of exhaustion, and on self-care. This includes being vigilant to the fact that I sometimes choose people to prove I was unimportant. Or chose people, not choose. From 7, I will do wake-up sheets on self-blame. Note, my mother attended one of my women's workshops, processed a lot of her childhood, and afterward told me how proud she was of what I was doing. This event helped me realize more fully I am somebody simply because God put the breath of life in me. In fact, I am awesome. Wake-up sheet 2.
You are.
Wake-up sheet 2. Who did I think I was? Used goods. Note, the slang language used in this example demeans women, but is considered acceptable and even manly when used by a man. I carried the label of used goods after the abuse, feeling unworthy of love. This sheet allows me to see that my being was never damaged. What happened was an event, not my identity. Forgiveness clears the pain so that I can reclaim my worth. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my first husband, Cain. My reality as I perceived it. Cain was inconsiderate and hurt me. He used me, took my virginity, left me in confusion and pain. His priorities were about his desire and not my pleasure. He acted as if he had the right to do what he wanted with me. I concluded that this situation was my fault. I obeyed him and learned to fake pleasure to speed up the process. Over time, pleasure and arousal became linked to abuse. My body's natural responses were negatively affected. My feelings, confused, lost, sad. My thoughts, Cain degraded me to the lowest level. I felt like used goods and thought no one would want me now. I believed I was just a body. My impulse to punish by getting divorced and disappearing. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, that Cain acknowledge me as a person, cherish me and respect me so that I can feel whole and secure through Cain's validation. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal for Cain to acknowledge me as a person, to cherish me and to respect me. I cancel my goal to feel whole and secure through Cain's validation. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel ashamed and still feel stupid at times. I see that while Cain acted without integrity and should have been held accountable, I could have left sooner. I believed I had to stay out of a brainwashed sense that I had no rights. The belief that divorce was unthinkable kept me trapped. When did I violate my goal of having Cain acknowledge, cherish, and respect me against myself? My answer, I did not honor or respect myself, which may have affirmed to Cain that I was not to be respected. To my former husband, Cain, I acknowledge the truth of what occurred between us. I commit to healing what remains within me, maintaining firm boundaries and releasing any obligation to honor what caused harm. I choose my own restoration and release you to whatever healing you may or may not choose. Closing affirmation. I am precious, pure, and never diminished in worth. Love defines me, not the past. Afterthoughts. From 1C, my body's natural sexual responses were negatively affected. This one issue will be best handled by separate wake-up sheets. From 1D, in addition to feeling confused, lost, and sad, I also felt rage, guilt, shame, and worthlessness. I want to do wake-up sheets on these as well. From 1E, each of the thoughts in 1E will best be handled by separate wake-up sheets. 1F, I will work on the mind shifter. It is safe and healing for me to be seen, and I am always honored. Again, see the chapter on healing tools, page 79, for how to use this tool. From 3, I plan to do separate wake-up sheets on my goals to be honored, valued, and treated with respect. From 6, who taught me I was stupid? An implied power person message. I will do wake-up sheets on the following, and I'll list 5 things. The need to have my rights externally honored. Instead, I claim my right to speak up and allow others the same. On worrying about what others would think if I left Cain. On why I feel remorse, shame, and self-blame for keeping the event secret and for holding these secrets inside. 4, on why I called myself stupid. 5, explore the fact that my mother held a childhood event inside her that manifested as secret shame. From 7, I will reveal truth in this book in hopes that others, particularly the women that Cain touched, are helped in finding a way out of difficult situations. I will keep reminding myself that it is always appropriate to remove myself from harm, even as I take responsibility for the part I may have played in these situations. I will affirm again and again that I am precious and pure, dispelling once and for all the used goods thought. There is always a lesson to learn in any relationship. I'll pause before I go to wake up sheet 3. Does anybody have anything to say?
I have
Jeanie?
the invitation to everyone to check in on your breathing and make sure it's moving. Excuse me, Susan, go for it.
That's okay, Michael. That's a good thing to suggest. I wasn't going to say this on the radio show, but I was talking to a good friend of mine who has been in a marriage a little bit like yours with Cain, Jeanie.
Yeah.
And they're still together and they're struggling. And I'm going to send her your book. I told her about your book and she said, I need to read it. So thank you. It's already
Awesome.
kind of moving around outside the circle here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, wake up sheet 3. Who did I think I was? An automaton, one who acts in a routine manner without active intelligence. Living in survival mode, I felt like a machine, programmed to perform while feeling lifeless. This sheet reveals my goal to stay safe by obeying old rules. Canceling that goal restores my freedom to live as a conscious, breathing presence of love. I, Jeanie, am love. significant other who shaped this experience, my first husband, Cain. My reality as I perceive it, I moved through life doing what was expected in order to avoid abuse. When abuse occurred, I endured it without protest. My feelings, sad, afraid, terrified, enraged. My thoughts, I came to equate love with being abused and then abandoned. My way of protecting myself was to submit to what Cain wanted, resulting in my giving myself up. My impulse, to run away or leave. Since it was not safe to leave, I left mentally by dissociating. I choose love and truth and love, and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I wanted Cain to hear me, honor me, and to see me so that I could feel like a human instead of a zombie. I choose to connect to my original being, love, and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal for Cain to hear me, to honor me, and to see me. I cancel my goal to feel like a human instead of a zombie. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature, love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct, conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated, projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel neutral. I see that in the situation, I remained in fear-terror mode, the scientific term for which is sympathetic dominance. In that state, I could not think. When did I violate the goal for being heard, honored, and seen? Often, as I did not listen to my inner voice, I dishonored myself. To my former husband, Cain, I acknowledge the truth of what occurred between us, and I hold the space for myself to move toward and remain in a calm state. I can breathe, maintain balance, heal terror, and thus keep blood flowing to my brain. This allows me to be an intelligent being, capable of thinking and making conscious choices for my highest and best. I choose to stand in truth, and I hold space for you to change so that other women are safe. Closing affirmation. I breathe, I think, I choose. I am fully alive in love. Afterthoughts. From 1C, I fully accept that I never deserved to live the way that I was living. Living in survival, I felt like a machine, programmed to perform without feeling. This wake-up sheet reveals that I thought I must obey Cain's rules in order to stay safe. I see that canceling the goal to obey restores my freedom to live as a conscious, breathing presence of love. From 1D, each of the feelings will be best handled by separate wake-up sheets, one of which deals with the fact that I was unconscious a lot of the time. From 3, each goal is a separate wake-up sheet. From 6, I see that my husband had taken on the role of a power person. I remained in a state of fear and terror. In that state, I could not think, having literally cut off blood flow to the thinking part of my brain. This left me in freeze mode. I entered this state in order to survive, and I did achieve that. I survived. So I'll stop there. And you can see in just the 3 that I've already done, how at the end I name like 10 other wake-up sheets out of the same event. There are different feelings, different thoughts, different goals, and each of those require different wake-up sheets because they will access a different part of what's inside.
I think a good point to make at this point, sweetie, also is, and then I like how you put the afterthought piece in there, that those afterthoughts, if you're identifying with whatever Jeanie's sharing, or if you look at your own situation and you were to create an afterthought, is there a part of yourself that's in resistance to that afterthought? A part of yourself that's in resistance to conclusion? Then that's the place to turn that thought into a mind shifter. A lot of times we live in a world, or at least many circles, an affirmation becomes the act of trying to force your mind to believe something that isn't true. Rather than that, which ends up leading or resonating exactly what isn't true and bringing that into deeper activity. The idea of the mind shifter is to use the thought as a catalyst to resonate the unconscious or hidden thoughts, bring them to the surface, and then, oh, okay, so here's my next worksheet. Gee, the root of this feeling inadequate is, oh, here I have this memory. When I was 3, my brother, jumped on me and beat on me and told me how bad I was. So that mind shifter allows one to go back, because the mind works through resonance. It uncovers, or by using it as a mind shifter, repeatedly writing it, resonates the hidden parts that childhood experience, that the experience of 3 allows one to bring that directly to the surface. And, oh, so here's my next piece of work to do. Here's part of where my abuse by males was sourced. I had a brother that beat on me. So that, one piece of work leads to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's, there are a lot of religious traditions out there that use beads. And the beads are a symbolic way of dropping down into the unconscious. The mind shifter is an active tool for accessing the unconscious and cleaning it out.
Harry, go ahead.
So I really like how you're moving into this concept of personal sovereignty. And I've been on the same journey, different circumstances, but also moving into this concept deeply of personal sovereignty and what that means. And, the fact that on some level, we've all been rule followers, and I know a lot of women who always want to be the good little girl, when they're growing up, to curry favor and all of that kind of thing, follow the rules. And I think, with Michael's Laws of Living course too, standing in the universal laws really has assisted me too with coming from a place of personal sovereignty in all my interactions, in all my choices, all my decisions. And that, of course, includes taking responsibility for all of that. But what I've seen with standing in personal sovereignty, kind of like what you're doing here, is that it's the onions. There's so many layers to be healed, right? To be able to get to that place of feeling strong inside in your personal sovereignty, so that you're no longer swayed, that you come from a place of knowing. And I see this journey in you, Jeanie, and it's just so beautiful to me, so beautiful, this journey.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, we've got time maybe to do one more wake-up sheet. Number 4, who did I think I was? I don't know, but I am not alive anymore. At times, I believed I was not truly alive, just existing. The goal was to avoid pain by numbing out. Forgiveness reminds me I am alive because love breathes me, and I choose to embrace life fully. I, Jeanie, am love. Significant other who shaped this experience, my first husband, Cain. My reality as I perceived it, Cain controlled me to the point that I submitted to what I had come to believe about myself. He even encouraged us to move away from everyone I knew so that I would be dependent on him. My feelings, fear, terror. My thoughts, I believed I would not survive this situation and would also be blamed for Cain's wrongdoings, where he dealt in drugs. I was so afraid that I got a gun, and then I feared I might use it. My impulse, I want to punish by not feeling anything, by remaining frozen and numb. I choose to love truth. I choose truth and love. I keep turning that around. I choose truth and love and willingly move through the symptoms of healing. My goal, I want to feel safe, cared for, and protected through external means so that I can breathe freely and feel alive. I choose to connect to my original being love and fully invite in the love of God. I cancel my goal to feel safe, cared for, and protected through external means. And I cancel my goal to breathe freely and feel alive. By engaging my breath, I invite Ruka to incline me toward healing. I ask her to restore me to my original nature love. I ask her to help me keep love present and to assist me in coming into direct conscious relationship with and removing the dissociated projected parts of myself. Present awareness. I now feel neutral. I see that while Cain acted without integrity and should have been held accountable, my inner demon fear controlled my responses. Afraid to leave, afraid to stay, afraid to stand up, afraid to lie down, afraid to breathe too loudly and draw attention to myself. Fear dominated and reinforced my survival responses. When did I violate the goal in reflection to myself? I kept myself in fear, even though by this time I did not care for Cain either. To my former husband Cain, I acknowledge the truth of what occurred between us, and I continue working on my fear. I let go of the false belief that you ever completely controlled me. You are not that powerful. I survived, and now I breathe freely and thrive. I am alive and moving as I was created to be through the field called love. Closing affirmation. I survived. I breathe freely. I thrive. I am alive in love. Afterthoughts. From 1C, separate wake-up sheet on my erroneous need to keep the two parts of my life separate, one public and one private. From 1F, remaining frozen and numb are sympathetic dominant responses, wake-up sheets on what holds me from moving into the parasympathetic state of calm. And that's the end of wake-up sheet 4. And we will get to, the first wake-up sheets, and because of, in chapter 2, I was telling my story. So the first several wake-up sheets, Cain is the object of attention. But when we get to wake-up sheet number 6, I start doing them on carbon-based memory. And so those are interesting, aren't they, Susan Bingham?
Yes.
It's, it kind of seems like, how do you do a wake-up sheet on yourself? And so we'll get into that once I get past all the sheets on Cain. And,
Did that resonate? That type of worksheet resonate time for you, Susan?
She just found it hard, I think, to grasp at first doing a wake-up sheet on carbon-based memory.
Carbon-based memory. But if I looked at what's in there, that made it easier. It's funny, I fought that for a while working with Jeanie on her book. So anyway, thanks for sticking to it, Jeanie.
Thank you. And you are so appreciated. And for those that may not know, Susan Bingham was my beta reader, and she was phenomenal. I mean, she saw things through a different set of eyes. Like one of the things that we talked about it afterwards, that when I was writing the book, it's just like all of this coming out and getting it on paper. And I didn't look at grammar or punctuation or, did it make sense? I'd be telling one thing and then the next paragraph would jump to something else. And so she helped get me more in line and flowing and staying with the flow. She was just phenomenal in all of those aspects. And I really, really appreciate you. This book wouldn't be what it is without you.
Thank you so much. It was all there, everybody. I didn't do anything except reorganize the furniture. Jeanie had put it all put it all down. It was all there. And it's good that she just, and you should do that if you're ever writing a journal or something, just let it fall out and deal with the technical parts later. It wasn't hard to
Yeah.
do. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it was awesome. We went back and forth for a couple of months. It was great. So,
But
uh-huh.
as we're talking about doing worksheets on carbon-based memory, remember that carbon-based memory is just a more detailed explanation of the unconscious. And remember Carl Jung's statement, which of course I'd love to repeat because it's so profoundly important. Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Until what's in carbon-based memory becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Yeshua had a different term for it. He said, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues of life. It's the exact principle. The heart is the code word for the unconscious or carbon-based memory. And so the objective is to stop using language that pretends that something that's going on inside of me is caused by something going on outside of me. Move into responsibility language, language of ownership, which means now instead of having to hide something from myself because I hold the false belief that somebody else is the cause of it, by taking responsibility, I'm able now to make my own unconscious conscious. And another piece that Carl Jung adds in there that shows how much of a challenge it is to do that. He says people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to keep from facing their own soul or their own unconscious. So if you find yourself doing absurd things, like blaming others or rejecting others because of what somebody else said, because what came up in you was what you didn't want to deal with, step into the worksheet process, make your unconscious conscious, and you'll be freed of it. If you hold the belief that, oh, I'm feeling this because of what somebody else did, then that lie told in the mind means I just created an unnatural condition in me called the unconscious. And the whole objective of every worksheet is to bring those unconscious dynamics forward. What is it in me that has me hold my breath in this situation, that has me cut myself off from life? It's something inside of me. And so when I can step into and become willing to allow myself to literally, with the breath, free up everything in my unconscious, which includes my whole genetic history, now I'm really stepping into the work of Yeshua. And of course, that's the objective. And Jeanie, you're just doing a phenomenal job of it.
Thank you. All righty. Well, we're at the top of the hour. So you all have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bring the stranger to the show tomorrow. Not